Hey guys, it's your girl Ashley.
So nervous to make this video. Okay. It's fine. I got this. Hey guys, it's your girl Ashley, and welcome to my Walking Dead video essay. Despite making its debut over 12 years ago, The Walking Dead is and was still a dearly beloved show to the general public and its loyal viewers. Although there were showrunner changes plus the highs and lows of each season, the show is still talked about even a few months after the season 11 finale and the inevitable final episode. But today, we're focusing on the first two seasons of the show, both memorable and nostalgic to the viewers as it is to the cast members. We're going to talk about a noteworthy, short-lived character by the name of Shane Walsh, played by the lovely John Bernthal. The purpose of today's video is to find out, is Shane Walsh overrated, or is he overhated? Let's go. So the main reason I'm making this video is because of this little incident that happened on TikTok a few months ago. I did a trend with like a Walking Dead filter and it like randomizes characters. I was supposed to rank 5 characters without knowing who's next. Now, the first person that came up was Michonne, and I put her at number 2. And then I put her at number 2 as a precautionary because I don't know who's coming up next. I could get a character I think I favour more. I'm not going to say favourite, I'm just going to say that I favour them more. Because then Shane Walsh came up in the randomization directly after Michonne, and I put him at number 1. And the amount of hate that I got, the amount of explanations I had to give, made me realise how divided the fandom is on Shane Walsh. And I wanted to do a little bit of research and stuff into that. And I also wanted to give my opinion on the things he did and all that stuff. But before I begin, I'm going to list off the actions I did not agree with, because I had people on TikTok telling me that I condone SA and all this weird shit, and I was like, no, that's not why I like Shane Walsh. And there's a comment I found on another video on YouTube, and I'm going to read it out to you because it perfectly summarizes my thought process for liking Shane Walsh as a character. So I'm gonna read it out real quick. I don't like Shane because he attempted to SA Laurie. I like him because he was a great character who was a great survivalist. He was a bad person but a great character. I would honestly hate him in real life, but this is fiction. Character equals good, person equals bad. So that really, for me, that comment really sums up how I feel about the character. As a person, he's vile. But as a character, incredible. And the actor did a phenomenal job. John Bernthal did a phenomenal job as Shane Walsh. I'm going to go over a bunch of different things regarding Shane's stint. So, spoiler warning for seasons 1 and 2. If you have not seen the show, although I feel like if you have seen the show, that's why you clicked on this video, right? But if you haven't, you don't want to be spoiled, just be wary of that, please. I'm warning you now. We're going to go through Shane's stint and his journey through the first 2 seasons, and I'm going to go over things that because I've been rewatching it lately as well, so I'm going to go over things that I noticed, things I didn't agree with, things that I did agree with, etc, etc. And I'm going to give my opinion on whether I think he's overrated or overhated. I might be a bit biased, but I also want to open up a discussion in the comments if you'd like to do so. Please keep the comments nice and friendly. I just want to have a good discussion. I've had a lot of hate on TikTok, and I'm not prepared to put up with that here on YouTube, so please be friendly in the comments. We do not condone any of these horrible actions. Thank you. But yeah, we're gonna start off with season 1, so let's get into it. on, we immediately see Shane with Rick Grimes, and they're in a police car and they're talking. Now, admittedly, Shane Walsh did say some misogynistic shit. I'm gonna be honest. It was misogynistic. Not cool, bro. Not cool.
What's the difference between men and women?
That's a joke.
No, serious.
Never met a woman who knew how to turn off a light. They're born thinking the switch only goes one way, on.
But I digress. You're establishing the relationship between Rick and Shane and how they're very close, and they're talking about how Rick and Laurie's relationship is and stuff. It's evident that they're very close. Now, obviously, everything happens. Rick gets shot by the criminals get shot. Rick goes to the hospital, ends up in a coma. We see that Shane visits him in the hospital. Although it's weird and blurry and ooh. At this point in the show, like episode 1, obviously we have no knowledge of anything that's going on. Now, if we skip forward a little bit, if we're going through the timeline chronologically, Shane does try to get Rick out of the hospital. He walks into the hospital room and he tries to pick him up, but obviously he's connected to all these wires and stuff, so he can't lift him up away from the machine. I think one of the soldiers walks into the room. He hides behind the bed, I think, and then the thing shuts off, and Shane assumes, rightfully so, that Rick is dead. He puts his ear to his chest, checks if he's breathing. Doesn't seem like he's breathing because the machine was helping him breathe. He did what he could, and in that moment, I know that this is obviously in the show, they don't show this until like episode 6, but it's shown that he did try and get him out. And in that moment, technically, Rick was dead. It can be rightfully assumed because he didn't wake up. He wasn't waking up. He tried to wake him up.
Listen to me, if you're gonna wake up, I need you to do it now. Okay, now. Please, man, you just show me a sign, anything. Please, Rick.
It didn't work, so that's that, right? If we fast forward to the Atlanta camp, Laurie and Shane have their little thing going on. Again, not correct. I don't agree with that, but they did what they did. They're grown adults. Laurie thought Rick was dead. Shane told her that Rick was dead. Now, I see a lot of people saying that Shane coerced Laurie into being with him by saying that Rick was dead. I don't believe that was the case. I believe that obviously Shane technically saw Rick die, and he told Laurie, and obviously later on she's mad about it, but we'll get to that. But I don't think he did that spitefully. And even in season 2, when Rick and Shane discuss it, he even says, I never looked at Laurie that way before that.
I want you to know that I didn't look at her before that.
Obviously, there's not much information or knowledge on how it started or whatever. It can be assumed that Laurie was looking for comfort due to her husband being dead, and all that. And things are all hunky-dory until Rick arrives at the Atlanta camp after being found by Glenn, who just so happens to be a part of the same group. So when Rick comes back, Laurie obviously feels upset and betrayed. Now, at this point, obviously, Shane is shocked, Laurie's shocked. They're just like, what? How are you here? And I think, sure, in that moment, maybe Shane is like, damn. But he's also happy he is happy to see Rick. But he's also like, it puts me in a weird situation. And then later on, when Laurie, I think Shane is teaching Carl how to get frogs or something, fish for frogs. So I want to insert that scene of Shane imitating Laurie because it's really funny.
Last can of beans, you're gonna be loving those frog legs, lady. You see, now, Shane, do you think I could have a second helping, please? Please, just one.
Yeah, I doubt that.
But yeah, Shane is teaching Carl how to get frogs, I believe. And Laurie comes up to him, tells Carl to go back to the camp. And Laurie is obviously rightfully angry. And she's like, oh, he was alive and you didn't tell me, you lied to me, da-da-da-da-da.
I do not think you should be taking this out on him.
You don't tell me what to do, you lost that privilege.
Hey, Laurie, could you just wait up a sec? I think we should talk. You know, we haven't had a chance.
No, that's over too. You can tell that to the frogs.
Damn it, Laurie, look, I don't know how it appears to you.
How it appears to me? I'm sorry, is there a gray area here? Let me dispel it. You stay away from me. You stay away from my son. You don't look at him. You don't talk to him. From now on, my family is off limits to you.
Now, from her perspective, I get it. You think that Shane lied. In my opinion, I feel like she didn't give him a chance to explain.
Laurie, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that I deserve
Shut
it.
up. I don't think that... My husband is back. He is alive.
He's my best friend. Look how you think that I'm not happy about that.
How dare you? Why would you be? You are the one that told me that he died.
But I can understand why she didn't give him the chance to explain. But I still feel like he wasn't ill-intended when he told her he was dead. Because Rick technically was dead in that moment. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. I don't think that Shane used Laurie in any capacity. I think things just happened. It is what it is. I don't personally understand how affairs work, so I can't really give you any knowledge on that, but things happened. I don't think it was ill intent. I think it was just there was so much traumatic shit happening with the start of this apocalypse. They just happened to elope, I guess. I don't know. Moving on, there's a scene in the woods of the Atlanta camp. Rick says something that pisses Shane off.
I don't see it. If it was your family, you'd feel differently. What'd you say to me? I kept them safe, man. I looked after them like they were my own. That's what I did, man. I didn't mean it that way. Well, how'd you mean it? Go on, man. How'd you mean it?
You misinterpreting me, man.
Right.
You're just hearing it wrong.
Yeah?
You know I can never repay that debt, okay?
Shane did pull a gun on Rick from behind. Didn't agree with that. What are you doing, Shane? I liked you, damn it. I was rooting for you.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you.
And then Dale with the that stare. Oh my god, that stare. Jesus. I didn't agree with that, but I can understand how Rick's words hurt him. I mean, and again, I'm kind of jumping a little bit, but in season 2 he says something like, Laurie and Carl I didn't save Laurie and Carl, they saved me.
I didn't keep Laurie and Carl alive, man. They kept me alive.
And I think it's important to note that Shane didn't really have a family, if that makes sense, you know? I mean, that is kind of on him, and he wasn't right to try and steal Laurie and Carl away from Rick. From his perspective, you know, he was looking after them. Never had a family from the sounds of it, so I think the only mention of family there is in the show even is his grandmother, I think. And even then it's like there's no other mention of family, so it's sad. It's tragic. It's tragic, really. But again, it's kind of on him. So on the topic of Laurie cutting off Shane, the way Shane treated Carl after that, it was a little uncalled for. Like, I feel like he could have been a lot nicer.
What was that?
Was what?
The way you blew him off just now, you crushed him. I don't believe you. You're giving me the cold shoulder.
Is that what you wanted? Weren't you the one who said, stay the hell away? Him and you?
I get it. He was obeying what Laurie was saying, like, don't talk to my son, stay away from my family's off limits to you. The way he went about it, though, was a bit mean, especially for a kid, you know? he didn't have to treat him like that. He could have been nice about it a little bit. But again, I understand because of what Laurie said, but he shouldn't have taken it out on Carl, in my opinion. And also, another thing to note, I actually want to talk about Shane being a leader. I think Shane was a good leader to an extent. He did what was right for the group. He only started getting bad, I think, when he got obsessed with Laurie and Carl. That was definitely his downward spiral. Otherwise, before like season 1 episode 6, which is CDC episode, which we're going to talk about, before that episode, he wasn't terrible. Like, I mean, there were instances, you know, there was a few instances, but he wasn't terrible. I felt like he could have been a lot worse. I think after season 1 episode 6, that's when the shit started. He had potential to be a decent leader, but I do think his obsessions and all that stuff definitely kind of held him back. But I think he would have been good. Had he not gone, you know, I think he would have been good, but I digress. What happened happened. Alright, so the last episode of season 1, they arrive at the CDC, even though Shane wanted to go to Fort Benning? Is that what it's called, I think? Sorry. They go to the CDC. You know, there's alcohol, there's food. You know, they're living it up. They're having the time of their lives. They're eating. They got hot water. They're having showers. So, like, what makes me laugh, though, is Dr. Jenner was like, you know, go easy on the hot water. We don't have a lot of power.
Most of the facilities powered down, including housing, so you have to make do here. Couches are comfortable, but there are cots in storage if you like. There's a rec room down the hall that you kids might enjoy. Just don't plug in the video games, okay? Or anything that draws power. Same applies. If you shower, go easy on the hot water.
That motherfuckers are standing there like, they are really wasting that water. I don't blame them, though. I mean, going that long without hot water, yikes. I think I'd be standing there too, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. So at the CDC, unfortunately, one of the very, very, very horrible things that Shane did, he was drunk. Again, not an excuse. Absolutely not an excuse. What he did was vile. He was trying to get with Laurie again, and basically SA, and it was very uncomfortable to watch. Laurie said no, and he wasn't listening. This is kind of, I think this is a very significant point to where his downward spiral began. Again, being drunk, not an excuse. Terrible, terrible action he did. Did not agree with that whatsoever. Again, like I said at the beginning of this video, I don't like Shane because he attempted to SA Laurie. I like him because he was a great character who was a great survivalist. He was a bad person, but a great character. I would honestly hate him in real life, but this is fiction. Character equals good, person equals bad. Character equals good, person equals bad. I hope that makes sense, because my god, the amount of hate I got on TikTok. Anyway, that was in the last episode of season 1, and it's kind of just a little stint to start up Shane's downward spiral. So, moving on to season 2. Let's go. Alright, season 2. This is a hefty part. I've written everything in a notepad again. I'm sorry. This paragraph is huge. Okay, so beginning of season 2, we're on the highway, and there's a horde of zombies coming. I think this is, yeah, there's a horde of zombies coming. They have to hide under cars and vans and trucks until the zombies move away. This all goes smoothly until poor Sophia sticks her head out, and one of the zombies spots her. And she has to run and leave, and she runs away in fear. Rick runs after her. He tells her, you know, stay in this hole. I'm gonna loop back round. Like, stay here.
Hide in there. Squeeze him tight. I'll draw him away from you.
No, don't leave me.
Listen. They don't get winded. I do. And I can only deal with the one at a time. I wouldn't be able to protect you. This is how we both survive, you understand? Okay. Go.
If I don't come back for you, what does he say? He says, run and keep the sun on your right shoulder, left shoulder? One of the two. And he's like, you know, he tells her what to do and stuff. When that happens and Sophia goes missing, Shane is initially understanding and he wants to find Sophia.
Let him know we're on our trail, doing everything we can, but most scavenging cars, think up a few other chores. I keep them occupied. Look, Rick and Daryl, they're on it, okay? It's just a matter of time.
As time goes on, though, Shane's kind of like, okay, this is getting a bit... We're spending too much time doing this.
What are we doing? Got every able body at your disposal out scouring these woods for a little girl we both know is likely dead. I mean, you honestly think we're just gonna find Sophia alive?
Like, you got 72 hours and then you're looking for a body, and that's before the apocalypse. In terms of being a survivalist, Shane definitely had the right mindset. The thing to note for season 2, Laurie was a little bit wish-washy. That's the word I've put down here, wish-washy. And I say that because I believe there's a scene... They're looking for Sophia and they find a church. And Shane says he's gonna leave.
Are you really leaving?
You think it's best for all of us?
I think it is. What made you decide?
I gotta back away. Just trying to be the good guy here, Laura, even if you don't see it. None of this was intended. I hope you know that. Don't matter as long as I said it.
You're just gonna disappear. You're not even gonna tell Rick.
You don't try to stop me. No, that's on you. You tell him what you want or tell him nothing at all. You're his wife.
And Carl? We dragged him into this.
I love Carl.
He thinks you hate him.
I'm trying to put some distance. I'm trying to make this easier. This ain't easy on any of us, least of all me. I'm the one who loses here.
I get the point that she was making. It did come off as really, like, confusing, though, because it was like, I don't know, it just didn't make any sense. Like, I do think if Shane had left the group at that point, it just would have been so much easier, honestly. Oh my god. But I digress. Things happened how they happened. Laurie convinced Shane to stay. Okay, so later on in season 2, they come across a farm. Oh yeah. Carl gets shot by Otis, I believe. And Otis takes everyone, including Carl, Rick, and Shane, takes them to Herschel's farm, where Carl needs to get patched up.
Carl! That way! Hey, Herschel! Talk to Herschel, he'll help your boy!
Now, at this point, I believe that on Herschel's farm, they're low on medical supplies, and that's why Otis and Shane have to go on that little run that they do to the school. Is it the school or the hospital? I think it's a school, but they make a run to a place to scavenge for more medical supplies. There's a lot of walkers around. Sticky situation, they're low on ammo. I do remember when that was happening and they were trying to get away. So we had Otis was kind of like out of breath. Shane had fallen from the window and sprained his ankle, I believe. You know, the both of them were a bit slow. They got bags on their back, etc., etc. Shane in his head, his survivalist mindset, he was like, only one of us is gonna make it. Da-da-da-da-da. It is possible they could have made it out. It could have been possible, but I think in Shane's mind it was like, if one of us doesn't get back, Carl's gonna die. And to him in that moment, I think Carl was his main focus. Like, he really wanted Carl to survive. And initially, he offered to sacrifice himself. He said, Otis, like take these, just go.
You're gonna make it, okay? It's bad, and you're gonna go.
And Otis decides not to. He disagrees. He's like, no, I'm not leaving you behind. Shane decides to shoot Otis. He apologizes. That's not the point. But he decides to shoot Otis in the foot.
Me too.
I'm sorry.
takes the bags off of him and he leaves. But not before Otis rips out a big chunk of his head. His hair. He shoots Otis. Didn't agree with that. I understand his motives behind it and I understand the mindset, but the way he went about it was pretty brutal. And I definitely think he never got over that, killing Otis the way he did. I definitely think that weighed on him heavily, especially with everything else that happened. He did what he did, as ruthless as he was, and there's nothing we can do about it now. So R.I.P. Otis.
We were about done. Almost out of ammo. We were down to pistols by then. I was limping. If not for Otis, I'd never made it out alive. Any death ever had meaning. It was his.
All right, and the next noted point in season 2 is with the barn scene. Glenn finds walkers in the barn after trying to canoodle with Maggie. He finds walkers in the barn and he decides to tell the rest of the group.
Guys. So... the barn's full of walkers.
And when Shane finds out, he goes even more loop-de-loopy. And he decides to break open the barn and kill every walker that's in there. I think Rick and Herschel were like holding the walkers with like a stick and some rope. It was really weird. Oh, Herschel, I love you, but you're delusional. You were so delusional. Anyway, you know, moving them with the stick and the rope. It was weird, but rightfully so. Shane is mad and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Just kill it. Like, what are you doing?
Living, breathing person. Could they walk away from this?
Stop 3 rounds in the chest. Could someone who's alive, could they just take that? Why is it still coming? That's its heart. It's lungs. Why is it still coming? Shane, enough!
Hey, you right, man. That is enough.
This causes him to go off the rails and he breaks open the barn and shoots every single walker in there.
Enough! Risking our lives for a little girl who's gone! Enough! Living next to a barn full of things that are trying to kill us! Enough! Rick, it ain't like it was before. Now, if y'all want to live, if you want to survive, you gotta fight for it. I'm talking about fight right here, right now. Take the snare pole. Herschel, take the snare pole. Herschel, listen to me, man, please. Take it now. Herschel, take it. No, Jake, do not do this, brother. Come on. Don't do it! Rick! Please! Come on! This is out the way! Please!
Get behind me.
Come on.
I mean, Daryl helps. I believe Andrea does, and T-Dog as well. Herschel's family are obviously distraught because it's Herschel's family members and any other walkers that they find in there. I will say one thing to note, like, Shane was really disrespectful on Herschel's farm. He may have been right about what he was saying, but he was still very disrespectful. And I think a thing to note about respect is, for example, when Glenn looks over at Maggie and he's like, am I okay to just, you know, I'll put them down. Whole barn thing happens. The walkers are killed. And yeah, Shane was just very, very disrespectful to Herschel, I feel, and I didn't agree with that. Although Shane's points were right, it was just, he went about it in a really shitty way. And then it was revealed that Sophia was in the barn the entire time. after this barn scene, there's one scene I really like. It's between Shane and Carol.
Hey. Are you all right? I want you to know that I'm real sorry for your girl. I opened that barn, I had no idea. If I did, everybody thinks that I was just trying to keep everybody safe. I had no idea she was in there.
I think that shows. That scene is very much like, it shows how broken, how much trauma he's gone through. And I know what I'm gonna hear people say, like,
oh, but everyone else has been through trauma. They didn't turn out like an asshole.
You're right. You're perfectly right. Listen, I'm not saying that. I'm not. Still, please. You know, I think it was a good scene because it showed he's not just a fucking ruthless monster. He's still, there's a small part of him. There's a small part of him that's still human, which I think was very well presented. Again, the actors in this show are fucking phenomenal, and I will forever say that. The first and second season were just masterpieces. Further on in the show, I don't remember, but I might have things a bit chronologically messed up, but when Laurie finds out that she's pregnant, she tells Shane that even if the baby is biologically his, it will never actually be his.
Rick told me.
Told you what?
And I know the reason why you didn't. It's because you know it's mine.
It's Rick.
Okay. You know, we carried on quite a bit. Before Rick got back, Laura, it's mine. You know it is. You know it's...
You're wrong. I'm sorry. Shane, I'm sorry. But even if it's yours, it's not going to be yours. It's never going to be yours. And there's nothing you can do to change that.
And this is where Shane is like, oh, Rick's not built for this world. And all that stuff. I think that hurts him as well. I might be an unpopular opinion here, but I think... I don't know what it is, like, it would have been nice to see... I mean, I know he was fucking insane, but insanity aside, if we just, like, scrape that insanity off his character arc real quick, it would have been nice to see how he would have fathered Judith, because we kind of see Rick as a father anyway, when he's... Because obviously he has Carl, he's had Carl since before the apocalypse, so we knew what Rick was like as a father, I guess. But with Shane, we never got to see that, and I think that, I don't know, it was a small letdown. Although what happened, and I understand why it happened and why it needed to happen for the sake of the story, I think it would have been nice to see Shane be a father. I don't know. It's sad to think about. It would have been nice to see Shane have his own little family, but unfortunately he made terrible decisions. Another thing in season 2, Randall. We all remember Randall. That kid. Oh my god. Okay, so Rick and Herschel go into town, I believe, with Glenn, I think. No, Rick and Glenn go into town for Herschel, who's gone to have a drink in the bar. Herschel's having a drink, and these people show up, and they're being weird about it, and Rick, you know, kills them. One of the guys doesn't get away, and his foot is fucking stuck on a gate. Ow. His foot's stuck on a gate. They have to get him out. They decide to take him back. And Glenn's like...
He was just shooting at him!
And I kind of agree with him now, I'm not gonna lie. But Herschel and Rick are like, okay, well, we gotta get him out. This leg, and get him out of there. And they bring him back to the farm. I believe they blindfold him and stuff. I'm not entirely sure. Now, when Shane finds out about this, he is very angry. And rightfully so, I understand his perspective. He believes that having Randall, like, anywhere near them, especially when they were fighting us, is what he was saying. Like, especially when they were fighting them, like, if you just send him on his way with a care package.
They're gonna give this kid a care package. They're gonna send him on his way. And you're right, this is gonna bring on a war or something worse. And we're gonna sit here and wait for it.
Shane is kind of correct. Like it's been mentioned many times, Shane was very ahead of everyone else, and I think that scared the rest of the group. Again, rightfully so. They all still kind of had their morals, and their morals certainly kind of went out the window, especially when Dale died, because Dale was so like, we need to, think about what it was like back then, Shane wanted to kill Randall so that Randall doesn't go back to his group and lead them back to the farm. Since it was so early in the apocalypse, everyone still had their morals, and Dale, and they wanted to leave him. So with Shane being outnumbered, he and Rick decide to take Randall, and they try and dump him in some kind of junkyard, I think. I don't really know. There's like a school bus there. I don't know. They like leave him there. And he's like, "You can't leave me here, please. Come back." And he's like, "I know Maggie, for Christ's sake." Like, he admits that he knows Maggie. Yikes. When they turn around, they're like, shit. And Shane's like, he knows Maggie. We need to kill him. But Rick's like, no, we can't do it right now. We're not allowing this to happen. And they have a fight.
Shane, no! Not now! Just not now!
We'll win, Rick, win. When I've had a chance to think about it.
Don't let him kill me. Please don't.
Shut up!
We're going back. It's a man's life. I need a night to think it through.
You're gonna bring this piece of garbage. This piece of garbage. He shot at you, Rick. He ran with men who tried to kill you. You're gonna bring him back to where Lori sleeps? To where Carl sleeps?
He'll be locked up in the barn unless you bust it open.
I don't start this.
I'm taking the night.
Man, you take that. You think on it, Rick. Keep struggling with it. It ain't hard, man. The right choice is the one that keeps us alive.
I'm just gonna throw in that meme clip. That clip everyone's been memeing lately?
Stop acting like you know the way ahead, like you know the rules.
There are no rules, man.
We're lost.
Yeah, they have their fight. You definitely see more of the insanity with Shane. Randall, and it was really weird, like Randall and Rick were in the car. They were about to leave Shane, and then they got Shane. It was a loaded scene. But yeah, that Randall kind of saved their asses, I'm not gonna lie. So they get back to the barn. Randall is tied up in the barn and blindfolded, and they lock him up in there. Shane is very, very much conflicted, and he just wants to kill this kid, but it's weird. He has this like conflicted expression. You kind of see it in his face. You know, the head slamming, fucking, he was going mental. Absolutely mental. He's very conflicted on whether or not to kill him. His insanity is very much on the forefront. So later on, I believe it's like episode 12. Is it 12 or is it 10? Better Angels, in that episode. He leads Randall out, and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to be part of this group anymore. Like, I'll join your group." And then he fucking snaps Randall's neck. Bye, Randall. Bye, Randall.
China.
Ah! He runs up and he's like, Randall got the jump on me.
Rick! Rick!
What happened?
He's armed! He's got my gun!
You okay?
I'm fine. Little bastard just snuck up on me, clocked me in the face. All right, Herschel, T-Dog, get everybody back in the house. Glenn, Daryl, come with us.
The fucking way he went about it, though, he just fucking slammed his face into a tree. Fucking ow. And he meets up with Daryl, Glenn, and Rick, and he's like, "He got the jump on me. He's got my gun. He's this way." They split up, and even Daryl doesn't believe that Randall got away.
He weighs $125 soaking wet. Trying to tell us he got the jump on you?
Despite this, they split up anyway. Rick and Shane go out into the field, and Rick knows it's a setup. Now, we all know how the rest of that pans out. If you watched this far into the video, I'm sure you already know. Rick knows it's a setup, and in the actual story, Shane is aiming a gun at him. Rick calms him down, and then Rick stabs him, and then he reanimates as a walker, and Carl shoots him. So that's how the original story goes. But the actor who plays Shane Walsh, John Bernthal, he had a headcanon which they didn't use, but I feel like it can still be inferred from the original source material.
It was very close to the death was going to be different. You know, Andy Lincoln and I had a very different kind of idea for how that scene was going to play out. And I was really disappointed that they didn't go that way. But the way that I wanted Shane to die was the exact sort of same way, except after he takes Randall, the prisoner, out and kills him, takes Rick out into the woods. They get into the argument. He says, "I'm a better man than you. I've been with your wife," all that crazy crap. And then Rick says, "What are you going to do? You going to kill me? You going to kill me right here?" And then Rick was going to throw his gun away. And then I kept pushing him with my gun, like I was going to kill him, and I basically forced him to stab me. And then when I reanimated as a zombie, I wanted Rick to pick up my gun and try to shoot me as a zombie, but he would just go click, 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 and the gun was going to be empty. And then Carl would come out and blast old Shane, because what I thought was that Shane brought Rick out into the woods to make Rick be the kind of man enough to raise Shane's baby. And that it was this act of both unbelievable sort of, ridding him from the world, because Shane knew that he was too dangerous to sort of be a part of this. But at the same time, Rick needed to take that step in order to raise his baby, and in a way it would be a very perverse thing, because he'd very much infect Rick's mind, when Rick realized that the gun was never loaded. But we argued a lot, and Andy and I really loved this idea that I came up with, and they decided not to go that way. But I think there was really there's still very much a flavor of that in the way that we played it, and it was very much in my head that part of what I was trying to do is take my own life in that scene. So yeah, this got heavy, dude.
I think it was a really cool idea, because him kind of knowing he wouldn't be able to raise his child, not being able to love Laurie and Carl with the way Rick would, and with Rick still being there, I believe he wanted to make Rick stronger. And in doing so, he was kind of toying with him and trying to get Rick to kill him, which I think is way cooler than the original material, and I still want to infer it from the show, because I just think it's a brilliant way, because I would like to believe that Shane wouldn't actually kill his best friend. That might not be true, but it's a headcanon I'm choosing to believe. Thank you. I understand that Shane's death is supposed to develop Rick, make him more ruthless, and make him ready for this world. And it's done very well, as much as I would have loved to seen Shane Walsh in any later episodes alive. Sadly, we didn't get that option, but it made Rick into the badass that he is today. So, yeah. Ding! As much as I love the character Shane Walsh, and especially how well written he is, his death is detrimental to Rick's development in the apocalypse. I do think it's fun to think about how Shane would have fared during the later seasons. And I do see this theory around a lot, like if Shane got to the Negan lineup, I don't think he would have survived past that. I think Negan would have, goodbye. He's definitely one of them, like, alpha males. So I don't think Negan would have let him live. Or another fun theory that I've seen people kind of throw about is like him being either in the place of Negan or being Negan's right-hand man. I think that's really cool to think about as well. TV show Shane compared to comic Shane. Comic Shane, I feel like, has no layers. He's pretty much in only 6 issues, which is equivalent to the first season. I liked how they extended his arc out a little bit. I think that was really, really good. He's really well written, well played as well by John Bernthal, of course. And even Robert Kirkman himself said that he wished he didn't kill off Shane so quickly. Yeah, the TV show did a really good job of like spreading out that arc and just making it a little bit longer. I think it was a really, really good decision, and Shane turned out to be one of the more nostalgic and greater characters of the entire series. So yeah, I know people hate him, understandably so, but I personally believe he's a very well written character, and I enjoyed watching him in action. And John Bernthal's just great, so I'm biased. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, Shane was very much assertive, very much like an alpha. He was a good leader to begin with, although that began to, you know, began to mess up when he started becoming obsessed with Laurie and Carl. His own mentor and his own ruthless actions drove him to much darker places, and he was unable to get out of that. Another thing that I think is possible is that he became ruthless too quickly, and that was what was his downfall. But if he had utilized it correctly, it probably could have been his advantage. But yeah, I guess that's the moral of the story. Don't get too cold-blooded too quickly, or you're gonna go fucking insane. But yeah, for now, I guess we'll never know. We can forever create theories on what would have been if Shane had he lived into the apocalypse much longer than the comics or the show. I know a lot of people will be torn on this. Is he overrated? Is he overhated? Honestly, there's a lot of torn... It's torn everywhere, I feel like. I mean, for the most part on YouTube, people like him. On TikTok, for some reason, everyone fucking hates him. So I don't understand. I don't understand why there's such a difference, but maybe it's different target audiences. I don't know. Me personally, I think that he's overhated. I feel like there's other characters in The Walking Dead that you can hate on more. But like, Shane was a complex character. He did bad things, yes. You can hate on him for those bad things. I will too hate on him for those bad things. But you don't have to agree with his actions or like him as... like Shane Walsh as a person. You can still like him as a character, if that makes sense. In conclusion, the fandom seems very torn on the subject of this character, at least from what I see on the likes of TikTok and YouTube. I'm not entirely sure about YouTube, but I guess we'll find out, right? I don't like Shane Walsh as a person. He did some very shitty things, but as a character, he's phenomenal in my opinion. He's so well written, there's so many layers to him, and he's incredibly complex. I think that there are other characters that maybe warranted more backlash than Shane. Please remember, this is my opinion. I'm entitled to it. Let me know in the comments how you may feel on this subject, and I'd love to get a cordial little discussion going on. So yeah, that's my video essay on The Walking Dead. I hope you enjoyed, and yeah, take care everyone, and I will see you guys soon. I did another video essay on Mr. Robot, if you'd like to check that out. But yeah, I will see you guys soon, I promise. Okay, bye!
Oh, Father, tell me, do we get what we deserve? Oh, we get what we deserve. And we're down.